I wanted to just quickly, because many of you are newer in the industry, and it's probably when you see some of the stuff out there in the news, in the articles that we write and stuff, it's like, wow, is this industry still going to be there? You know, Amazon's going to take over, and some of the online.coms are going to take over. I'm really not worried about that, but I think we have to be willing to change and evolve, because we're going to lose pieces of our business, but this business is still too personal and technical, and it's not just buying a pair of shoes, you know, and or once you know your size, you can just reorder the new style. It's constantly changing. If you are in the lighting side of our business, you probably have trouble keeping up with the changes, and you might be the expert in it. So for that reason, feel comfortable you're getting in the right industry, but we are going to lose chunks of our business over time, just like we have for the 20 or 30 years that we've been up here, or that we've been involved in it, and then you've got to replace that with something else. So what's keeping me up is how can we still out-service and provide so many services that our customers consider us a partner in their business and can't do without us, but then still make money. So that's the challenge, and we're always on that balance of, you know, profitability for the value we're providing and the price that we want to charge. So
yeah, staying relevant, I mean, just on that piece is, you know, like you said, the channel's not going anywhere. There was, my mentor always shared the story when the fax machine came out. They thought it was going to ruin everything, and there were no more salesmen needed, which of course, as we all know, didn't happen. But I think just figuring out, at least from a distribution standpoint, figuring out our position, our role. How do we stay relevant? Because it may shift away. I mean, they're still going to need to sell the product. They need product expertise. But do we have enough value add, not to use the cliche, but do we add enough value in that chain long term to stay relevant? And that's the biggest fear that I see, and what kind of, you know, that we're trying to prepare for and get ready.
And just to comment on the relevancy, I like to say stop selling and start solving customer problems. Find out what their problems are, what their objectives are, what their pain points are, and solve those. Once you do that and build a good relationship, you don't have to sell. They're going to come back to you just automatically because you can best solve their problems and provide the greatest value. And then price doesn't become an issue.
Dan Knapp with Standard Electric. I believe a quality relationship between the distributor and the manufacturer partner is key for success. Liz, you mentioned some of the consolidation that's going on in the industry. I'm just curious, some insights with you guys on what you've done to create those great relationships to make your business so successful.
Well, I was going to say, for us, we believe in definitely limited partnerships. We want to be more important to fewer people as a distributor. And we expect, if we provide that level of partnership, that in return we get that same type of support. It's very hard to find exclusivity nowadays, and so we know that that's tough to achieve that level of partnership, but definitely limited distribution and more support. But we think it's a key thing, and there's another position that we have on our kind of corporate board is vendor strategies. So we're constantly thinking, but the tough part is the consolidation thing that Tammy talked about. But we really believe that, and I think that's a great part about this meeting, and what attracted me to it originally was if you go to the other NAED meetings, you know, I mean, the vendors are there, and it seems like they're serving us, and it's almost you know, crazy what they do for us at those meetings. But then here, we're one team trying to make the industry better. And I think the only thing that we've missed the boat on and we need to keep working on, and you guys can help us recruit them, we added a board position, I know, during my era, which was in the late 90s, early 2000s, of the NEMRA side. That's a key part of the triangle that's serving the customer, is the NEMRA rep and of course our manufacturer partners and the distributors. So getting them more involved and encouraging them to come to this type of meeting so that we can together figure out ways that we can serve the industry better in the future.
The relationship side with that, again, I agree. I think it's very important, but I think as distribution, we have to find our our value to that chain as well. I think that the manufacturers more and more are their directives are to not bypass, it's a terrible word to put, but they're saying to their sales force, whether it be a rep agency or not, there's a tendency to get into the end user because whether either we're not in there enough, we're not a strong enough sales organization. We've always been a great service organization, but I think there's that directive, not to mention when we go in, if you go into a customer, you want to close a sale. It's not always worrying about what manufacturer, say it's commodities and a better example. You're just in trying to get an order off the street, where they're trying to get in and push a spec position, trying to push their brand. So I think it's trying to find that balance of how do you, and you said it too, of being very specific and strategic with who and how you partner. And I think that's going to be huge going forward, because otherwise, if you just go in and close business, that's great. But if the manufacturer and their sales force don't see that you're trying to help them grow their position and grow their brand, I think inevitably you'll get bypassed, for lack of a better word.
Let's hear from the manufacturing side.
So, I would tell you, I think, our company has been going through a very interesting metamorphosis. I came to Thomas & Betts from a company that they acquired, Carlon. So I went through an integration process and learned a lot about all the changes that take place when that happens. And just things had finally started to settle down, and I was in the groove. And I would tell you, I was very excited to be part of Thomas & Betts. I think in my career, when I was in distribution, I, kind of cut my teeth with Thomas & Betts. So I was really excited. And it was a few years later, everything's calmed down. And a gentleman that used to work at our company, we worked together and we had known each other most of our careers, came into my office at Carlon. And he said, we're buying you. And, so that started that whole process. It worked out very well, but a few years later then, in 2012, the announcement was made that we were acquired by ABB. And I would tell you personally, I went home, I had a cocktail on my patio. I was like, wow, here we go again. But the difference, I think, from my perspective today is that we are now part of a $40 billion global organization. And although it certainly has had some bumps along the road, I think for people that are part of our organization, there's more opportunity to go places, to be in different positions, in different parts of the world, and in different roles. So there is more opportunity today than there ever would have been had Thomas & Betts remained the way that they were. And, I think in any integration, any change that happens, it's not without those bumps in the road. I happen to be one of those people that really embraces change, and I would tell you, again, that's for me, I think, and for you, if you can embrace the change and look at the positives, that'll help you to get through and smooth the transition, as the companies come together.
Any comments on how better to work with distribution, or how distribution can work better with you?
Again, I think that, regardless of, the changes that take place within the company, this is still a people business. And, the people that we do business with, that we were doing business with before, we're continuing to do that. I think we just have to have some really different conversations. We've been doing that for the course of the last couple of years. But we're able to have those conversations because of the relationships that we have one-on-one. So I think that, ultimately is most important, is the people part of it, whether, you become part of another organization.
Yeah. My name is Gabriel Rosines. I work with Continental Industries. We are part of Burnley and Hubble. And I have a question about Amazon. You mentioned Amazon, Steve, and the situation with Amazon, as you mentioned, I agree that Amazon will never be an electrical distributor, will never have the expertise that is here in this room, and I don't see a contractor buying an ABB transformer online or something similar to that. But you mentioned also that we have to be prepared to lose chunks of business to that channel. So what you're saying is that there are products that are not worth the time to sell, like a 12 AWG cable or a lamp or something that the contractor can go online and pick up, I don't know, 12 boxes of cable that we know is 12 AWG, is a commodity, is regardless of the name, is cable. We know the size, we know the diameter, we know the use, we know the color, and why don't you order through Amazon? Don't you think that that is a very risky strategy to be willing to lose a chunk of business, no matter if the chunk is 1 or 10 or 20%? After all, sales are made by people, and you buy from people. Your stories of you, the four of you, is you grew through relationship, and regardless of you knew about sales or not, people buy from you. If tomorrow you don't buy for ABB, you don't work for ABB, but you work for Hubble, people will still buy from you. So what don't you think that we as distributors, we need to be prepared to compete with Amazon, probably try to develop a similar tool to allow our contractors that are buying from us because they like us to find, if you want to buy your 12 AWG, just go to our website or go to the NAED website or go to a kind of Amazon that we can all develop together instead of giving away a chunk of our business.
Yeah, oh, that's a great point, and so I don't want to go there. I think we have to consider, what is the cost of that investment, and for us, we know we can't develop the website as a smaller independent distributor. That we're not going to be able to develop the technology to offer an Amazon or a Grainger type experience, but through associations, whether it's an AD or an IMARC or those types of associations, we can at least compete. For those customers that are only looking for a little bit of that experience, I think that we can compete in that world. Now, at the same time, when the DIYs started trying to, put 30 products, SKUs up on the shelf at really low prices, they were getting national pricing. That forced us to have different conversations with our vendors on how we can sell against that national price. And and SPAs were becoming popular at that time, and it also created different conversations with the customers. I think we do have to sit around with the customer and have that conversation that if you take away the commodities, they don't require the technical experts that we have on staff as much. But if you take that away, it's got to be replaced with something else, or we have to get a higher price for the stuff that you do need us for. So I think you can have those conversations with good partners, but in the end, they still have to be able to compete in the marketplace. And so I think the challenge is always looking at that and trying to find out what reasons are the customers going there, and if it's just because they want to be able to buy at 10 o'clock at night because they're a new customer and they're working during the day and they quote at night, then we've got to be able to adjust and offer a solution for that. It may not be that online, beautiful website, but it may be that they can log into our system and send us an order, and it'll be prepared that evening by our third shift, something to that effect.
Yeah, I think you touched on it 100%. I think you just all of us have to figure out a way to talk with our customers and find out why are they going and doing what they're doing. And, from that information, then I think you can, I think, Tammy, you touched on it with data. We have all kinds of information, and what are we doing with it, and how are we utilizing it? And is there something you can do? I think, Steve, to your point, if you're an independent distributor as opposed to a large national company, what can you do that, you know, will help solve some of the problems or address some of the, you know, the comments that you got from your customers in terms of why they find that an experience that they want to, you know, they want to continue?